The untrained mind is a war zone, riddled with explosions of insecurity and ambushes of hesitation. The strong know this and fortify their minds before stepping into the fray. The battlefield of the mind does not rest, and neither can you. It must be conquered, its chaos subdued, its strength harnessed, for it is the first and greatest enemy you will ever face. Every thought is a soldier, every doubt a saboteur. The weak let these thoughts roam free, their minds an open field for destruction and distraction. The strong, however, organize their armies, training their thoughts to serve them, to fight for them, not against them. Control over your mind is not a suggestion. It is a command, a demand of survival. Discipline is the general of your mental forces, and without it, the mind will betray you. The battlefield rewards the prepared and destroys the complacent. The mind can be your greatest ally or your most cunning adversary. It whispers of failure, plants seeds of fear, and sabotages your confidence at the moment you need it most. The weak fall prey to these traps, their minds turning against them when the stakes are highest. The strong, however, are ruthless. They do not negotiate with fear, do not entertain hesitation. They strike these thoughts down before they take root, reclaiming control over their battlefield. The first victory is always internal. Distraction is the weapon of the enemy, and the mind is its greatest victim. The weak are scattered, chasing fleeting thoughts and insignificant worries, their energy drained by the noise. The strong silence this chaos, clearing the battlefield, focusing on what matters. The mind is not a playground. It is a war zone. The strong treat it as such, fortifying their focus, eliminating distractions, and channeling their energy into the fight at hand. Every moment of focus is a step toward victory. Every distraction is a step toward defeat. The mind does not rest, and neither can you. It is always working, always thinking, always plotting. The weak are overwhelmed by this constant activity, letting their minds control them instead of the other way around. The strong take charge, directing their thoughts, harnessing their power, and turning their mind into a weapon. The mind is not a passive observer. It is an active participant in every battle you fight. To ignore it is to surrender to it. To master it is to command your destiny. The battlefield of the mind is not won through brute strength, but through strategy. The weak try to fight every thought, every fear, every doubt, exhausting themselves in the process. The strong choose their battles, focusing their energy on what matters, ignoring the noise. They know that not every thought deserves attention. Not every fear deserves acknowledgement. The mind is a maze, but the strong navigate it with purpose, refusing to be lost in its twists and turns. They are not controlled by their minds. They control their minds. Fear is the most cunning enemy on the battlefield of the mind. It creeps in quietly, disguising itself as caution, as reason, as prudence. The weak welcome it, mistaking it for wisdom, but the strong see it for what it is, a trap. They confront fear, exposing its lies, dismantling its power. Fear thrives in the mind, but so does courage. The strong choose which to feed, knowing that every battle is won or lost long before it begins. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to let fear win. The mind is a battlefield without end. It does not sleep, does not pause, does not relent. The weak grow weary, wishing for peace, for a break from the fight. But the strong embrace the endlessness, understanding that the mind is not a burden, it is a tool. The more you fight, the stronger you become. Each battle sharpens your resolve, strengthens your discipline, and refines your focus. The weak see the mind as their enemy, but the strong see it as their greatest weapon. The battlefield does not destroy them. It builds them. The scars of the mind are invisible, but no less real. They are the wounds left by self-doubt, by fear, by hesitation. The weak hide from these scars, pretending they do not exist. But the strong wear them with pride. Each scar is a lesson, a reminder of battles fought and victories won. The mind is a battlefield, but it is also a teacher. The strong learn from every fight, growing sharper, stronger, more resilient. The scars are not a mark of weakness. They are proof of survival, of growth, of unyielding will. All our knowledge has its origins in our perceptions. The mind does not create. It interprets. It takes the raw chaos of the world and shapes it into something it can understand, something it can wield. Perception is the lens through which we see reality, but that lens is flawed, cracked by bias, fogged by emotion. The weak accept this distortion as reality, letting their minds be fooled by illusions. But the strong question every image, every thought, every conclusion. They polish the lens, sharpening their perception, turning their mind into a tool for power, not deception. Perception is the battlefield where every war begins. It is the foundation upon which knowledge is built, but a weak foundation crumbles under pressure. The world does not offer clarity. It offers confusion, half-truths and illusions designed to mislead. The weak succumb to this chaos, their perceptions dictated by fear, by ignorance, by the narratives of others. The strong, however, reclaim their vision. They do not rely on the perceptions handed to them. They forge their own, bending the chaos into clarity, forcing the world to make sense on their terms. Perception is both weapon and weakness. It can blind you or empower you, depending on your mastery of it. The weak allow their perceptions to control them, to limit them, to define the borders of their existence. But the strong wield perception like a blade, cutting through the noise, the lies, the distractions. They see the world not as it is, but as it can be, using their perceptions to shape reality instead of being shaped by it. Perception is not passive. It is a choice, a decision, declaration of intent. The mind is a maze, and perception is its map. The weak wander aimlessly, lost in the labyrinth of their thoughts, unable to distinguish reality from illusion. The strong study the map, tracing the lines, learning its patterns, and mastering its pathways. They know that perception is not static. It is fluid, adaptable, ever-changing. To master perception is to master the mind, and to master the mind is to master everything. The strong navigate the maze with purpose, their perceptions guiding them through the chaos to the clarity that lies beyond. Perception is the enemy's favorite weapon. It distracts, deceives. It turns strength into weakness, opportunity into threat, clarity into confusion. The weak fall for these tricks, their perceptions manipulated by fear, by doubt, by the lies of the world. But the strong are immune. They question everything, trusting nothing but their own vision. They understand that perception is the first battle, the one that determines the outcome of all others. The strong do not let the world define their perceptions. They define their own, creating a reality that serves them. Knowledge is born from perception, but perception is born from the mind. The weak believe what they see, but the strong know that what they see is shaped by their own thoughts, their own beliefs, their own biases. They do not take their perceptions for granted. They dissect them, analyze them, refine them. Knowledge is not handed down. It is carved out, extracted from the chaos through relentless effort. The strong are relentless in their pursuit of knowledge, knowing that every perception they master brings them closer to control, to power, to victory. The mind does not merely perceive, it judges. Every perception is filtered through the lens of experience, of emotion, of expectation. The weak let this judgment happen unconsciously, their perceptions dictated by forces they do not understand. But the strong take control. They train their minds to judge with precision, to see the world as it is, not as they wish it to be. They understand that perception is not reality. It is the interpretation of reality, and those who control their perceptions control their reality. Perception is the battlefield where strength is tested, where character is forged, where knowledge is earned. The weak avoid this battle, content to live with their illusions, their half-truths, their comforting lies. But the strong step into the fight, challenging their perceptions, forcing them to evolve. Every battle of perception is a battle for knowledge, for clarity, for control. The strong do not fear this fight, they welcome it, knowing that every victory brings them closer to mastery of the mind, and through it, mastery of the world. To see clearly is to think clearly, and to think clearly is to act decisively. The weak act blindly, their perceptions clouded by doubt, by fear, by the lies they tell themselves. But the strong act with purpose, their perceptions sharp, their knowledge precise, their minds unclouded. Perception is not just the origin of knowledge, it's the origin of power. The strong understand this and guard their perceptions fiercely, refusing to let them be tainted, distorted, or controlled by anyone but themselves. Perception is the first battle, and the mind is the battlefield. The weak lose this fight before it begins. Their perceptions already corrupted, their knowledge already flawed. But the strong step into the fray with clarity, with focus, with purpose. The meaningful dopamine you reap from recognizing patterns is the mind's reward for alignment, a signal that your steps are carving a path through chaos. It is not the hollow pleasure of distraction or the fleeting rush of gratification. It is the deeper, darker satisfaction of mastery. The weak chase empty highs, running circles around their ignorance, feeding on shallow victories. The strong, however, know that the mind craves structure, that the pieces of the puzzle are not scattered by chance. Pattern recognition is the weapon of the perceptive, a sign that the war within the mind is being won. To study perspectives is to arm yourself. Each angle, each viewpoint, each unfamiliar frame is a tool, a weapon added to your arsenal. The weak fear contradiction, clinging to their singular vision as if it will protect them from the complexity of the world. But the strong embrace the conflict, weaving the threads of differing perspectives into a tapestry of understanding. Every pattern uncovered, every connection made, strengthens the mind's fortress, reinforcing its walls against the chaos that threatens to overtake it. Dopamine is not the enemy. It is the ally of those who master its source. The weak allow their minds to feast on meaningless rewards, their circuits short-circuited by trivial pursuits. But the strong use dopamine as a compass, seeking the high that comes from discovery, from clarity, from the realization of order within disorder. Each pattern found is a victory. Each connection made a step forward in the endless battle for control of the mind. The battlefield rewards those who know where to look. Patterns are the hidden language of the mind, the whispers that connect the fragments of chaos into something coherent. The weak are deaf to this language, their perceptions dulled by distraction, their minds too scattered to recognize the signs. But the strong listen. They see the threads that tie ideas together, the structures that underlie the seeming randomness of existence. Pattern recognition is not just an ability, it's a skill, a discipline, a weapon that can only be wielded by those willing to train their minds to see beyond the surface. Every perspective studied is a battlefield explored. Every pattern found a victory claimed. The weak cling to their narrow views, mistaking stubbornness for strength. But the strong are flexible, adaptable, willing to challenge their own beliefs in pursuit of deeper understanding. They know that patterns exist not to comfort, but to challenge, to force the mind to expand, to grow. Each perspective is a test, a skirmish in the war for control of the mind, and each test passed is another step toward mastery. The weak avoid conflict, fearing the discomfort of contradiction. But the strong thrive in it, seeing in every contradiction an opportunity to uncover the deeper patterns that unify all things. Conflict is not the enemy. It is the crucible in which clarity is forged. The meaningful dopamine that comes from resolving these conflicts is the mind's way of telling you that you are on the right path. It is not a bribe. It is a reward, a signal that your efforts are shaping something greater than the sum of its parts. Pattern recognition is not just about seeing, it is about understanding. The weak stop at the surface, satisfied with superficial insights, but the strong dig deeper, uncovering the layers beneath. Each pattern is a map, guiding the mind through the battlefield of perception, helping it navigate the chaos. The strong know that the mind is not static. It evolves with every pattern it recognizes, every connection it makes. The battlefield shifts, but the strong adapt, using their growing knowledge to stay one step ahead. The mind craves structure, but it also fears it. The weak give in to this fear, retreating into comfort, avoiding the effort required to uncover patterns. But the strong face this fear head-on, knowing that the chaos within the mind is not an obstacle but an opportunity. Each perspective studied, each pattern recognized is a battle won, a step closer to mastery. The dopamine that comes from these victories is not fleeting. It is enduring, a sign that the mind is growing stronger, more resilient, more prepared for the battles yet to come. The meaningful dopamine of pattern recognition is the mind's signal of alignment, a sign that the battlefield is being cleared, the chaos subdued. The weak mistake this dopamine for an end in itself, but the strong see it for what it is: a tool, a weapon, a guide. Each pattern recognized is a strike against ignorance, a victory in the war for understanding. The mind is not just a battlefield, it is the prize, and the strong fight for it with everything they have. The patterns you uncover are the maps you use to navigate the battlefield of the mind. Each perspective studied, each connection made, is a step toward mastery, a step toward control. The subconscious mind is the unseen ruler, the silent architect of your existence. It controls the heartbeat in your chest, the breath in your lungs, the flow of blood through your veins, every vital process, every involuntary act. It is all governed by this shadowed force. It does not ask for permission, does not wait for your approval. It simply acts, ensuring your survival even when your conscious mind is paralyzed with doubt or fear. The weak are oblivious to this power, treating their subconscious as a passive servant. But the strong recognize it for what it truly is, a weapon of infinite potential. The subconscious holds answers to problems your conscious mind cannot even begin to comprehend. It is the repository of every memory, every thought, every emotion you've ever experienced. The weak fear its depths, afraid of what they might find if they look too closely. But the strong dive headfirst, unearthing the hidden truths buried within. They understand that the subconscious is not just a storehouse, it is a battlefield. Every doubt, every fear, every hesitation is rooted there. And to conquer them, you must first confront the subconscious forces that created them. The subconscious mind is both ally and adversary. It acts without question, obeying the commands it is given even when those commands work against you. The weak allow their subconscious to sabotage them, feeding it a steady diet of negativity, of fear, of limitation. But the strong take control, seizing the reins of this silent force, bending it to their will. They do not let the subconscious act blindly. They program it with purpose, turning it into a weapon that serves their goals, their vision, their obsession. The subconscious does not distinguish between reality and imagination. It acts on what it is fed, building your world from the images and ideas you allow to dominate your mind. The weak are careless, letting the chaos of the external world infiltrate their subconscious, shaping it into a mirror of their fears. But the strong are deliberate, feeding their subconscious with intention, crafting a reality that aligns with their desires. They understand that the mind is a battlefield, and the subconscious is the ground on which that battle is fought. The subconscious operates in silence, unseen, but always active. The weak underestimate it, treating it as an afterthought, unaware of the power it wields. But the strong know better. They train their subconscious, refining it, sharpening it, transforming it into a force that works tirelessly in their favor. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every image you hold in your mind is a command to the subconscious. The strong issue their commands with precision, knowing that the subconscious will obey without question, for better or for worse. The subconscious mind is a master of patterns, a creature of habit. It thrives on repetition, on consistency, on routine. The weak let their subconscious run wild, reinforcing bad habits, negative thoughts, destructive beliefs. But the strong are disciplined, using repetition to reprogram their subconscious, replacing weakness with strength, fear with courage, doubt with certainty. They understand that the subconscious does not resist change. It embraces it, but only when that change is delivered with relentless consistency. The battle for control of the subconscious is not won in a single moment. It is won through persistence. Your subconscious mind is always listening, always watching, always learning. It absorbs everything, from the words you speak to the emotions you feel to the environments you inhabit. The weak are careless, surrounding themselves with negativity, with distractions, with influences that poison their subconscious. But the strong are intentional, curating their environment, their thoughts, their emotions with ruthless precision. They understand that the subconscious is a sponge, and they ensure that what it absorbs serves their growth, their purpose, their ambition. The subconscious mind is a vast and untapped reservoir of potential. The weak let it lie dormant, unaware of the power it holds, the answers it can provide, the strength it can offer. But the strong tap into this reservoir, drawing from it the energy, the clarity, the inspiration they need to conquer their challenges. They understand that the subconscious is not a passive observer. It is an active participant in every battle. And to ignore it is to fight with one hand tied behind your back. To master the subconscious is to master yourself. The weak are ruled by their subconscious, slaves to the programming they have allowed to dominate their minds. But the strong take charge, reprogramming their subconscious with intention, with discipline, with purpose. They know that the subconscious is the foundation of the mind, and if the foundation is weak, the structure will collapse.